What's up, family? Welcome to episode 19 of Men vs. Ego. Drama. Do we need it? Today, I got a special guest, and it's been a long time coming. I've been asking her for a while, but life has different, what do you call it? Choices, rules. We're all busy in life, right? But needless to say, I'm so happy to have her on here. My sister, my brother from another mother, if you would say. She comes a long way. She had her own trials and tribulations growing up, and I'm sure that we're gonna get good insight on the whole drama topic, right? Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my sister, Maggie.
Hello, everybody. I'm Maggie. I am Bobby's sister, best friend slash mentor. You know how he sees me and everything. And honestly, I'm just here for the experience. It's something new, and I'm very eager to have the discussion with my brother. So let's bring it on.
Thanks, sis. Much love to you, and thanks for coming on again. And let's get this started. I always like to say, define drama. Define the topic in your own words. To you, what's drama in a nutshell?
Just situations that you essentially just don't have the energy to deal with. Family drama, friend drama, genre in general. Just for me, it's just a situation that is tiresome and is a waste of mental space and stuff like that. Just something to another stress in life that you don't really need, essentially.
Hmm. But yet people crave it. Can drama happen
Yeah, they do.
can drama happen everywhere from relationships, like you said, family? Can it happen workplace?
Yes, definitely workplace. I have my own little issues with my workplace. I love working where I work. Some of the people just don't they just don't get it. And I am a lot like you said, people usually crave drama and everything like that. I am not one that goes and tries to seek it. I like to keep to myself. I like to just go in there, work, talk to the team that I work with closely every day and just leave it at that. And it's just drama. It just happens. It's inevitable.
Okay. Would you say drama is the same thing as seeking the tea, or in our own little world, the Spanish world, the chisme, seeking the chisme slash tea?
The tea, the cheese man, what they have to say out there. I personally don't see myself, like I said, I like to keep to myself. I personally don't see myself as like a chismosa or someone who like dishes the tea, but I definitely work with people that rely on that throughout their work time, their work hours, their work day. Even here at home with people who I'm close to, they're very much chismosas and metiches, and they love to sip on their tea that's not really theirs.
Okay. All right. Is drama necessary for growth, do you think?
I think if is drama necessary for growth to a certain level, to a certain extent, it is because essentially drama is another form of excitement. Like you said, we seek it, whether it's in relationships of our own kind, or in the books that we read, or in the TV shows that we watch, or when you're walking down the street and you're just overhear someone's conversation. Drama is something that we do essentially do need for growth in a certain way,
Mhm.
but if it's ministered in like little spurts and like good healthy spurts, because we can't all live a life drama free and stress free, because then wouldn't we just be like robots? Wouldn't we just be a lifeless person?
I mean, if you want me to play devil's advocate, I can tell you a book that pretty much tells us we don't need drama. And the book I'm referring to is The Power of Now, where the author Eckhart Tolle, the spiritual teacher, tells the reader that people crave the dramatic relationships. They need to be in some sort of a dynamic, a toxic dynamic, in order to have purpose and feel alive. But sometimes that drama can be toxic, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So that's me playing devil's
But
advocate real quick.
yeah. Well, if you want to think of it like that people seek drama to get that toxicity from it, to get just to feel something. I mean, there are people who do seek it like that, who do want it like that, who choose to be toxic to the people around them, just to to create that dynamic. But there are times where sometimes something happens. Like drama can be like maybe something happened to a family member of yours. Maybe something happened to you that maybe to other people you see it as something tiny, something like just nothing important. But to you it affects you, and it creates that, I guess, that toxicity, I guess you could say. But drama is something that I guess is needed, like I stated earlier, needed in the little quantities, okay?
Mm.
That's just how I see it. Like I said, I don't seek the toxicity, I don't seek the negativity type of drama, but I guess it just happens sometimes. But I wouldn't be in a relationship with somebody I love and somebody I like and constantly want to be toxic with them and toxic towards them so I can have that drama. I wouldn't be like that. Like I that book that you're talking about, the 48 Powers of Now or whatever it's called?
The power of now.
I guess if for some the Power of Now, people who read it and they like to think of drama as something toxic, I guess, but there are people who will think differently like I do.
Yeah. I think you're one of the few, sis, because let's be honest, how many times do we go outside, whether it be a party or maybe not so much, maybe a bar, and we see, yo quiero una tóxica. I want a toxic girlfriend. I want a toxic boyfriend. But it's all for show. It's all for fun. But nobody really wants that unless you really want that. I guess what I'm
No,
about.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, no, continue. I'm just agreeing with you.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is some people seek that dopamine spike from drama, that emotional stimulation from drama. Like I said before, that makes them feel alive. But yet, drama. I think you hit the nail on the head, sis. When something happens and you can't avoid it, something from nature, a natural disaster. It might be drama, but it's good to know about it for us not to go seek it. For example, a natural disaster, Rock River got flooded and now the whole main street, you can't go down there. Wouldn't you want to know about that so you don't waste time going down the street and
Oh,
possibly,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I would like something like that I would wanna know about, but do I care if Juliana Letana was doing this with Jose? No, I don't. Why are you telling me that?
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And people, they love the gossip. They love to hear the tea.
Yes.
And but they don't know that that comes with the energy too. There's people that
Yeah, it
say
affects their aura.
it affects the aura. It affects the energy around, just energy in general. I speak about it in my previous podcast with one of my colleagues slash friends that when a person walks in a room, you can just feel the whole room dynamic change. Sometimes
Yeah,
for the
it
best,
fluctuates.
yes. Sometimes for the best, and sometimes for the worst. And it's when it's for the worst, well, you better prepare. You better choose your words correctly when you're talking to that person because their ego is so fragile that what you say can be taken the wrong way, and now you're going to face the wrath, the consequences, all because the energy. And I think the drama, the gossip, that carries the energy from one person to the next. Wouldn't you agree?
I do. I definitely agree with that. When I don't know if you ever read like a romance novel, but the way that the female protagonist describes the man as he walks in and you can feel their aura, you can feel how he dominates the room. Anybody that walks in can dominate the room if they have that type of strong aura, a strong presence in life. It's okay to have that type of presence, but you yourself, the person who carries that presence, you have the ability to make it a positive one. You know what I mean? Am I making sense?
You're making I'm picking up what you're putting down, sister. I always like to say that for every negative situation in your life, there's a positive in that negative. And for every positive,
Hmm.
there's a negative in that situation. For example, I always like giving examples. If you win the lottery, $108 million, what do you got to do? You got to pay taxes. Ain't nobody want to pay taxes. You want your $108 million without paying taxes. Now you're in a whole different tax bracket. I guess that's a negative because now you have to pay more in taxes. But with the negative, let's say you're going to work and then you had a flat tire. So now you have to wait until you get your tire fixed. You're going to be late to work. Well, you don't know that there was an accident maybe 2 miles ahead of you that you avoided because of that flat tire, right? So in that dynamic, every negative holds a positive and every positive holds a negative. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. I
Okay.
do agree. Yeah.
But what else? What else on that topic?
On whether or not we need drama in our lives
On
or just overall.
whether the positive can carry the negative or the negative can carry the positive.
Like you were saying, like what you were saying with like that flat tire, and maybe I missed the car. I missed getting in a car accident because of that flat tire. You know how someone goes through something traumatic, like let's say you did get in that car accident, you know, something did happen, you're able that is a negative thing that happened, but you're able to look on the bright side. I always hear a lot of people reference the bright side. Oh, look on the bright side, you didn't die. Look on the bright side, your car only got a scratch, but the other car got totaled in that accident. And stuff like that. I'm a big believer in overall just trying to look at the brighter side consistently, not only because I think it helps my mental health, especially with everything that's been going on lately in my personal life, but because it gives me the energy to want to continue to drive forward to all the goals that I have already set out for myself, whether they're work goals or whether they're personal goals or just overall a goal that I set for myself to reach. And I just don't really like to dwell on the negativity because it's draining and draining, and I don't like to feel that type of drain. But again, as a girl, I'm going to contradict myself here a little bit. As a girl, I can't help but overthink on negativity. I can't help but to overthink on, "Oh, did I do that right, or did I do this right, or hey, is my employer going to be mad because I walked in 10 minutes late, or is my boyfriend gonna be mad because I didn't wanna go to dinner with his family?" And stuff like that. I can't help but think on stuff like that, like, "Hey, they're probably gonna be mad at me," but at the same time, life happens. You can't really control the situation when it's happening. You can only control the outcome of that situation.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think you were a stoic in the past life, sister, because the way that you think right now is showing years above your age. And what I mean by that, you basically turned the whole negative thing that recently happened in your life personally, you're seeking the positive thing out of it. Where and basically there's a book called by Ryan Holiday is the author, The Obstacle is the Way. And I believe he took that from Marcus Aurelius, one of his quotes, but he made it into a book. The obstacle becomes the way. Whatever life throws at you, whatever situation you're in, that obstacle is now the way to where you want to go. I don't know if I'm making any sense. And you
You
said,
are. You are. I actually you're bringing up a book, and then when you're speaking about that, another book that I read in my youth that it's my favorite book I'm thinking of too. I'm gonna let you finish and then I'll tell you about what I'm thinking.
thank you, sis. I like to
Mhm.
leave a quote about Marcus Aurelius. He said, we're not in charge of outside events. We're only in charge of our mind. Basically, our mind, we're in charge of it. We're in charge if we react. If a person comes out from out of nowhere and causes all sorts of profane names or crashes into the car, we can't help that. We can't help that a random stranger just came out of the bushes or we got in a car crash, but we can help how we react, right? We can as
Mhm.
long as we know that we're in charge of ourselves, of our mind, of how we think, ain't nobody else gonna be in charge of us. But we can't control the situation that happened already. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead, sister.
When you were what was that quote you said the title of the book?
The obstacle is the way.
The obstacle's the way. And when you were saying that, I was thinking of this quote in this book I read. It's by John Green. John Green is my favorite author of old times. No matter how long it's been since I picked up one of his books, I always think of him. I always recommend his books to everybody who asks me for book recommendations. He wrote this book and it's called Looking for Alaska. And Looking for Alaska follows the story of of a high schooler who simply just feels lost. He doesn't fit in to the people with the people in his public school. So he goes to this boarding school in Alabama. And there he meets these people. They're so eccentric. And he's just like, wow, I can't believe like they're talking to me. They're including me in their friend group. And then that's when he meets Alaska. And Alaska has this obsession with collecting books. And she has books all over her room and she calls them her life's library. And there's this quote that she says that the only way out of the labyrinth is through. So, like you
Uh-huh.
said, the only way out of the situation is to continue to go through the situation. That's the only way out. That's the only way that you are able to get out of whatever situation you are in.
Even if you didn't choose the situation, correct?
Hmm.
Okay, perfect, perfect. As long as we're on the same
Correct.
page on there, because ain't nobody gonna want to choose to be in a car accident. God forbid. Ain't nobody want to
No,
choose to
no,
get
God forbid.
be in bankruptcy, get their credit card or the debit card stolen. Ain't nobody want to do that. But
No,
it's finding out who
it's
to
what
call.
happens.
Exactly, exactly. And then
It's what happens.
it's exactly what happens. And with that trial and tribulation, now you know what to do in the future if that happens. Hey, you got to call the bank and close out your card. Hey, you got to call the insurance company and make sure you get a deductible or you claim it on
Mhm.
whatever you have to claim it on. So it sucks at the beginning because it kind of throws you for a loop. But when you come out of it, you come out of it 10 times stronger. You come out more knowledgeable. You come out more stoic, more in control of yourself. And now maybe, right? You can give that advice to one of your friends, your family, your colleagues. Like, hey, I've been through there. I've been there. This is what I did. This is what helped me. I'm just giving you tools. It might help you. So I guess this is what I mean going back to where we started talking, like every negative has a positive. It's like kind of like a yin and yang.
Like a push and pull situation, you know? Like where we were just saying that, you learn from what you go through, you learn from your mistakes, you know?
Yep.
And I don't know. There's some people who just seek to just dwell on the situation. They don't want to move forward. They're like, I can't do that because this is happening. And you're like, you literally told me that like 2 months ago. Why how is it still happening? You know, there are some people who just don't know how to find their way out of that labyrinth. They don't know how to find their way out of that situation. Granted, again, I'm going to be a little bit hypocritical here. There are times where I do dwell on the situation and maybe it affected me in a more negative way than it did them, you know? And I don't know, there are some people though who just don't know how to move forward. Like maybe they're still hung up on this ex from like 6 years ago, or they're still hung up on this job opportunity that skipped them by, and stuff like that. And there are some people who are like, yeah, they acknowledge the fact that they didn't get the job. They acknowledge the fact that they got a relationship where they thought they were going to be together forever, and they just move on and they move on with their lives, and they're able to move forward and reach a different potential and reach different goals that they set out for themselves and stuff like that. And then you have those people who are just, oh my God, I can't believe they left me, or I can't believe I let that job opportunity slip, or I can't believe this is happening in my life, or I can't believe this is happening to like my sister, like, but they turn it on to themselves, and they're like they kind of have like that narcissistic mindset. They're like, oh, why is it happening to me? Why is it happening to my sister? Why is all of this happening to us?
Yeah. Let me tell you something, sis. It's okay to dwell on it
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
let me tell you a quick story. I'm very spiritual, and so
yeah.
I went to a botanica, and I was looking for a certain candle just to thank my spirit guides, to make an offering to them. And they didn't have the candle that I was looking for, unfortunately. But the lady of that owner of the botanica store, she practices palo mayombe, which is a sort of I want to say it's like a sort of like a religion, but a spiritual religion. And those who know. And I was telling her about King Solomon and how wise he was, but he fell because he was very lustful. He got all this wisdom, but he fell because he was lustful. And then she laughs at me, not in a bad way, but and she's like, "Oh my gosh, wasn't he human?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Was he a god? Was he Superman? But wasn't King Solomon human?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "There you go. Just because you have all this wisdom, just because you have all this richness, this power doesn't mean that you cannot make mistakes. You can still make mistakes and be the most wisest man that ever lived." And that kind of opened up my eyes, sis, where you said you're going to be hypocritical of yourself. Girl, I don't think you're hypocritical at all. I think you're conscious of yourself. In order for you to really see yourself, you kind of have to look in the mirror and say, dang, I do that too. It's different if somebody calls you out and you deny it. Now you're hypocritical. But it's one thing that you call yourself out. I don't think you're hypocritical, girl. I think you're conscious. I think you're expanding your mindset and to see the things how it is that you yourself can be in that situation too. And you're no any different from me, from the neighbor, from Julano, from Joe Schmo. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah, I
So
understand. I know what
thank
you mean. No, you're good. I just maybe I guess hypocritical wasn't like the proper word to use when I was trying to put myself in that conversation or that topic. I'm just saying I just meant that, there are times where I'm like my sister or my friend will tell me a situation that they're going through and I'm like, okay, and like what are you gonna do to resolve that? And they're like, oh, I'm not gonna do anything about that situation. I'm just gonna leave it how it is. I'm just gonna not really think about it. And then the situation just worsens and worsens and worsens. And they're just letting it just sit there. And I'm just like, why don't you just handle the situation? It'll be done and over with, and you won't have to deal with that person anymore. You won't have to deal with that topic anymore. And there are some people who are take care of that situation right now. There are people who will do it right then and they're like, okay, this is a problem. This is gonna keep me from moving forward. This is gonna refrain from me being able to be the person who I need to be. And let me just take care of the situation. Maybe this person being in my life, no longer being in my life, is a necessity. A way for me to continue to move forward. Another way for me to get out of that labyrinth and finally be that person who I need to be. Yeah, I'm gonna miss the memories, but then I'm gonna miss the laughs. I'm gonna miss the jokes. I'm gonna miss all of this. I'm gonna miss the person I was when I was with them or when they were in my life. It didn't work with us. It's unfortunate. It's sad, I'm gonna dwell on it as long as I need to dwell on it because like you said earlier, we're human. We're human. We can only do so much. We can only react a certain way. We can only react to things that affect us personally. So when like my sister's has the like when our sister has a situation and she doesn't deal with it right away, I'm just kind of like, come on, sis, come on. I try to talk to her about that. I try to lead her, but at the end of the day, it's them who has to take themselves out of that situation, and we can only do so much for that person. And I try to be the person who deals with the situation right then and there, so it doesn't become a problem for me in the
Yeah.
future. It doesn't become a problem for somebody else, right? That makes
No,
sense.
it makes perfect sense. You can say that we're all human. I'm human. I'm gonna make mistakes. That's cliche. Everybody uses that scapegoat. Oh, we're human. It's because we are. We are. And girl,
Hmm.
the fact that you brought up our own family in it, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. I'm guilty of this myself. I'm guilty of this myself. When my dad, may he rest in peace, would tell me certain things, it's like the more he told me not to do it, subconsciously, I'm like, I'm gonna show you that I can do it. But then obviously what he said came to pass because he already knew because he had been there, done that. But I haven't been there. I thought I had everything figured out already. I was young and naive. Uh, I don't regret it, but man, I should have took some of those little seeds of knowledge.
Consejos.
Yeah, some of those consejos, some of those advice that he would give me and apply it. But
Yeah,
but we're not responsible for other people's personal growth. We're not.
we are not. No.
We're only
We can help them.
Yep.
We
Go ahead.
can help them and we can only do so much to make sure that they're okay, that they're able to understand their own situation or try to help us understand their situation. And going back to what Grandpa Robert would say, what your dad would say, he already lived his life. He knows what he's telling us. He's not telling us what to do. He's not telling us, he's like, here, I've been through that situation already. This is what I did to move forward. My dad is that same way. I love that man very much. And I always talk to him about situations or issues that I have in my life. I'm like, Dad, like this is happening and like no sé qué está pasando. Like, can you like help me? And there are days where I'll come in and I'll just have like this face, this look on my face where I don't I'm sad, I'm perplexed, I'm just, and my dad will sit down and he'll talk to me, me da consejos de padre, and he's like, Mija, you can only do so much about it. You can only deal with the situation now and then move forward from it. He's like, you're not gonna gain much from crying or from dwelling or from being angry at that person because you crying and being angry at that person only affects you. They don't care that you're crying. They don't care that you're mad. It only affects you. It makes your aura, it makes your mood, your emotions feel low. And you can't have that being young and as young as you are and being, just starting your life. Okay, yeah, you're sad. Es lo que pasó. It's what happened. His favorite thing to say to me is, "It is what it is. Take it or leave it." He's like, "You can only do what you can do." And if that person does not, they don't, that person does not care that you're crying or that you came home stomping and slamming doors. No, you live your life. You are who you are. And if that person wasn't meant to be in your life, this was their ticket out.
Yeah, that's one way to see it. Because at the end of the day, I spoke about it in my previous podcast with my friend John. It says if you try to help out somebody who's drowning all the time due to their own consequences, you're gonna drown with them. I always mention this law in the 48 laws of power. Law number 10, infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. A lot of people put themselves in drama and then they go cry to somebody else. Oh, I don't know why my life's like this. Oh, I don't know what happened. Look at yourself. You did it to yourself, right? And yet they go over there and play the victim sometimes, and they expect us to give them validation or feel sorry or pity or some sort of way. But in reality, let's take a step back and detach from the friendship or that bond, right? Take a step back and be like, well, this would have never happened if you never put yourself in that situation to begin with. Oh, but, I didn't know what to do. This is like the 5th time you come back. Why?
Yeah.
Because people crave it. It's in people's human nature to see the tea, the juice, but once we learn to control that, to know that, "You know what? I don't want that energy around me. I'm good. My life has its own dramas. I don't want yours or his or hers. I'm good. I'm good." And it's good that you brought up family because sometimes we can love our family to death, but the drama that they bring into our lives, it's like sometimes we have to love them from afar with arm's length. Like, I love you. I'm checking up on you. You're good, because if we let them in, sis, who knows what kind of aura, right? You mentioned aura earlier. Who knows what kind of aura they'll bring into ours? Listen, take a moldy piece of bread and get a nice piece of bread, a brand new fresh bread. Put it next to the moldy bread. What happens, sister?
The good bread gets infected with the mold.
Boom. Don't you think that's the same thing that happens with drama with other people?
Especially when I was younger and in my baile era, there's been times where I've argued with my closest friends and we didn't talk for a few months. And there have been times where maybe I was the drama. Am I the drama? You know? You live, you learn from your mistakes. You live and you learn. And I just I'm a just big believer in that. I'm constantly wanting to educate myself. And another way that you can educate yourself is from learning from your mistakes,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I would say you can also learn through other ways, through people's mistakes, people who already done there, been there, if you choose to if you choose to do so, or books. If you immerse yourself in books that are beneficial to your personal growth, to show you to not be naive, to show you how to influence other people, to show you how to think 10 steps ahead, that can be a tool for you too. Not just mistakes that we fell into. No, I think we can also learn from other avenues as well.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm gonna just tell you a little brief thing. This is probably gonna contradict our whole conversation on whether we need drama or not. But I have this coworker and she's just a sweet lady, right? And I have this other coworker who is not as sweet. And this coworker of mine, the sweet lady, she is constantly always helping her, right? Always helping her, help her with her kids, help her with this, help her with that. And the lady that she's helping never says thank you, never values the help that she's receiving from the nice lady. And that nice lady, my coworker, she comes and she tells me this. And I'm looking at her and she's older than me, dude. Like she's like 63. So I feel like she should know better. And I talked to her and she's telling me this and I'm listening to her and I'm just wanting to understand on how she failed to see that right away. That other coworker, I never really spoke to her at work. I'm a big aura person, and if I feel your aura right away and it clashes with mine, I'm just gonna step back and just not essentially I'm just not gonna acknowledge you. If I have especially because she's my coworker, if I had to talk to her, I would. but if I didn't have to, I wouldn't. Okay. So my coworker, the one who I share my cubicle with, she's the nice one. She's the one who's been helping this other girl. And she's telling me, she's like, hey, the other day I paid this much money, but I paid that money for her. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Like, why am I doing that? Like, and it took her forever to pay me back, and I'm just like, "Miss, like, she's obviously using you. You can see it. I could tell right away." I'm just like, and I constantly tell her to step away from the situation, just to ignore her phone calls, to ignore her messages, and she doesn't. She continues to talk to this young lady, and like you said earlier, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. So when she tells me about this girl, because the situation is still ongoing, she doesn't. I just tell her, I'm just like, "What? Do what I tell you. Just stop talking to her, or just tell her in a nice way that you no longer want to be friends with her." And that's like a little bit of drama where I feel like I was dragged into it because I never said anything to this other lady, but this lady keeps complaining to me about her. I'm like, you keep talking to her. I'm like, just stop the situation, leave the situation, but you're still there and you're constantly there because you feel bad. I'm like, but there are signs and you've told me and I pointed them out to you that she's does nothing but use you, you know?
Yes, sister. And sometimes I hate to say it, but I think we've all been there at one point in time. I know I have. And it's something to do with our unconscious. We're not conscious. It's like we hear you. It's like we hear that you're giving the advice to the lady, but the lady's not really
Mm-hmm.
hearing you. She's not really taking it in. She's thinking she is, but if she was, she would stop there and then she would take your advice because it's common sense. But it's almost like she wants to be used. It's almost like she wants to be in that situation unconsciously. And it's when we go to our spiritual awakening that we're like, crap, my friend, my cousin, my family, they were right about this person. What was I doing? What was I going back to the same cycle? It was like a karmic cycle. I don't want to say because I don't know this person, but I don't want to say that given the benefit of the doubt because obviously I don't know them. But once you become aware, like you said earlier, and I gave you kudos for it, you called yourself hypocritical, but I think you're conscious of yourself. So once you become conscious of yourself, I think that's when you can take what other people advise for the betterment of yourself to heart instead of, oh yeah, okay. And then you go back to the same thing, man.
Yeah. And we touched a little bit on it on the toxicity. You know how like, oh, yo quiero una tóxica, or yo quiero un tóxico, or like, and stuff like that. Of course, you can have toxicity in any relationship. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. You can definitely have a toxic relationship with your friends, with your coworkers, even with your own family. And it just, I guess some people just choose to stay in that constant loop of negativity and toxicity because they feel comfortable in it, they feel drawn to it, they feel like if I move on from this, if I'm able to escape this vortex, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to able to well, what if I do really leave fulano or whoever? Or what if they're no longer what if I end this friendship? What's gonna come of me? What's gonna come of them? Are they gonna be able to move forward? Am I gonna be stuck on them and then eventually end up going back to them because I'm used to that toxicity. I'm used to those son costumbres. They're just you're just accustomed to it.
Yep, 100% sis. And let me just add up to it that some people trauma bond. You ever heard of that word, trauma bond? And there's a famous song by the Spanish singer Rocío Dúrcal.
I love her.
It's what you said earlier, costumbres, right? Customs. People are so accustomed to a certain
Mhm.
thing that humans are a creature of habit, right? And the customs sometimes they carry more weight than love. She says in Spanish que las costumbres cuestan o duelen más que el amor, which basically translate that the customs hurt more or way more than the love.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly. And like it's not like I said, it's not necessarily romantic love. It can be friendship, it can be family wise, it can be, and that toxicity is not only just something in a you find in a romantic relationship. It's something that you find
everywhere.
every corner you turn.
Yes, ma'am.
Every corner you turn and everything that you do.
Yeah.
And, some people fail to acknowledge that because they're so blinded by those costumbres, by that toxicity, and they just can't find their way out of the labyrinth. They can't find their way out of the situation, and they just fall deeper and deeper and deeper into that vortex, into that cycle where they're acknowledging the fact that maybe they're not that person isn't good for them anymore, but they just can't find a way out.
Yep. 100%. And with that being said, sis, let me just say this before we end the chat. Do we actually need drama?
Um, I want to be a little bit biased, um, because I'm just a girl, and I do like acknowledge the fact that drama is unavoidable. Especially the only way that I actually seek drama myself is through my books. I love reading a good romance novel. I love getting to the drama part of it, getting to the part where before they find a resolve and everything. Drama in your personal life is something that you need in order to build the person who you are meant to be when you are older. Not all drama is bad, and it's a it's a key thing in a person's personal growth.
Okay, for sure. I'll take that. I think
You don't have to agree with me. You don't
no.
have to agree with me. I'm not saying, brother, you have to live by this standard. No. I just like you are a very spiritual person, and from what I understand and from what I know, you live a drama-free life. And unfortunately, in the last few months of my life, I have not been drama-free. Like I strive to be, or I want it to be. But like I said, dramas is a stepping stone that a person needs in their life in order to become who they are, in order to become who they need to be, you
I'm
know?
gonna. It's not that I agree with you, sis, and 100% I hear you out. I hear you. But aren't we all human? Aren't I human?
Yes, yeah,
So yes,
you are
there
human.
there there is that pedestal of drama that we need for character development. Let's call it character development. Is the Maggie I'm talking to right now on this podcast the same Maggie that I left Chicago 3, 4 years ago? I don't think so. I don't think so at
Because
all.
you're definitely not the same. You're definitely not the same Robert. I left in Chicago all those years ago,
And if what I told you earlier
you
that
know?
yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I also think that we don't. I think we can speak through calm discussions and mindfulness. I spoke about mindfulness in my last podcast. If you said, if we keep sweeping the drama underneath the rug, eventually we're going to have a major, major dust bunny that's just going to eat up the whole house. If we don't talk about the drama that's affecting our interpersonal relationships, then you can expect that drama to continue growing and growing and growing. We have to nip it. We have to cut it out. We have to squash it. We have to come to an accord with it. But nah, yeah, I think we pretty much hit the nail on the head on the whole drama, and if we need it, sis. What do you think?
I think we did a pretty good job having our discussion. I'm also very eager and very open to see what people leave in the comments. Maybe they have their own opinion on how on our discussion and how whether or not we do need drama in our life, like you said, for our character development, our personal growth. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a big part of your life, a big part of your personality to be this dramatic person, to be this person who constantly needs to seek validation and needs to be noticed. But drama is a key part of life. It's one of those stepping stones. It's one of those things that people constantly go through, whether it's a little drama or it's a big dramatasi, But it's definitely something that would make life aloof. And
Yeah,
God knows that I am not an aloof person. I have my pretty intense personality, and so
I
like I
got
said,
you.
I personally do think that we need drama. I mean, we watch it on TV, we read it in books, we watch it in TikTok videos, we listen to it when we're walking down the street. We overhear people in the cubicle over next to us and stuff like that. You can never not be close to drama, but you can also avoid it if you know how to step forward or how to maneuver through that type of maze.
100%. 100% sis. And I can always learn from other people, take other people's advice. Like I should have took my father's advice back then. But we all carry a certain amount of ego. And if we don't control it, it's going to control us. And you're going to burn a lot of bridges and cause a lot of drama. No pun intended. But great book, Ryan Holiday. Love it. But as for you, sis, you got any book recommendations you want to give out?
Looking for Alaska by John Green. You should edit a picture of it right here in my hand, if you can, brother, if you're cool like that.
Okay.
I loved it. It's definitely a YA type of novel, but it's very interesting and it's a book about personal growth. So
Okay. Well, sis, I thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for your advice, your wisdom, and the book recommendations and everything in between.
I appreciate it. I miss ya.
I miss you too. And nah, you just take care of yourself.
Yes, brother. Thank you so much for having me on your pod, and can't wait to see the comments below in your video. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. So